So the purpose of this video is to show what is a query. So the word query comes from, I guess, the Latin derivation QUE, which is question. It's in inquire. It's French quoi, Spanish que. So QUE, query, is one of the main things we use here. And so I've updated my table from last week. So I have a table of colleges. I guess I have 17 colleges here now. By the way, data is automatically sorted by the key field. You can sort it any way you want later, but if you enter data and wonder why it's not in that order, it just gets sorted by the key field. So this is the data I have in here, and let's assume I could have 1,000 colleges. What I want to do now is question my data and see, maybe I want to find all the schools that are in California that are under a certain price. Like I have one over here, California value colleges under $10,000. Or maybe I want to find colleges near the beach, or that have on-campus housing, or have less than 20,000 students, whatever my criteria is. So the way a query works is I set up questions of my data. Here's one I happen to have called California value colleges under $10,000. You select which fields you want to see, and then what is my criteria. If I double click this one, that happens to show, okay, those are the ones that I have in the state of California under a certain price. So let's see how we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go step by step. I want to now, based on my data, maybe I want to see all the colleges that are in California. Let's do it step by step. So the way we do this, there's a few ways to create a query, but it's through the Create button. And there's a couple options. There's Query Wizard and Query Design. So for me, every time I build a form, I use the Form Wizard. Building a blank form design, or form is a lot more work. But there's, of course, times when you need to do that. But the wizard is wonderful. Same thing with the report. The report wizard is awesome. That's what you're going to want 90+% of the time. On queries, it's a little different. The query wizard really doesn't know what you want. But the query design, that's where I'm going to work. In the book, you'll look at the query wizard as well. So I will go through a query design, and the first step is really, what am I looking for? So let's say I just want to see the colleges in California, but maybe I don't want to see all of this. I just want to see some of the data. I'll go to Query Design, and the way that works, it says, what table am I looking at? Or maybe I'm getting data from another query, and I can have many, many tables here. Right now I only have one, the colleges table. And so I click Add, and I can drag this down so I can see all the fields. I can move this up so I can have a little more space. So now my question is, what data do I want to see? I don't really care about college ID, but I'll take college name. I can drag that down into place. Or, okay, I also want to see the city, the state, the tuition, and I would like to see whether it's near a beach and how many students there are. So I can drag it down, or I can simply double click. City, state, tuition, near beach, and how many students are there. That's all I've asked for. If I just click and say run it, it's going to give me all that data. Okay, so that just gave me the fields that I want. Now I'm going to go back to my design view. I don't have to click the down arrow. I just click the tools. And now it's time for criteria. I could say under state, for example. Maybe I only want those in California. So under the criteria, I go along that row, and you have to have an idea of what your data looks like. So I'm going to say California. So I only want to see colleges in California. Now when I run it, I only see California colleges and universities. Okay, now I want to add a little more criteria. Maybe I still want to have them, okay, now I want to have colleges that happen to be near the beach. So some are and some aren't, like Northridge and Fullerton, those are not near the beach. So let's go and do that. Now that's doing what I call compound criteria. So if I put my criteria on the same row, they both have to be true. And you see over here, or. Could be either or. So I want in the state of California, and I want to be near the beach. I believe it's by putting yes in there. And then now when I run this, you see I don't see the ones that are in Northridge. All I see is colleges near the beach. Now Pepperdine is gorgeous in Malibu, but that costs a lot of money to go there. Point Loma, same thing. University of San Diego, same thing. So I am querying and questioning my data. And so now I'm going to add a little more criteria. Maybe I'll say, I want a small school. Or maybe you want a large school. Whatever the criteria was and whatever, based on the data you have. So let's say I want to have the tuition be less than $10,000. That's how I do it. I put my mathematical comparison symbol. Now this should only bring up colleges in California that cost less than $10,000 and are near the beach. And my criteria for near the beach, it's at within a 30-minute drive of the beach. Okay, San Diego State, Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Humboldt. Now of course others would show up if I had the data. But this is now helping me find what I want. And if I wanted, for instance, only those colleges under 20,000, well then only Humboldt would show up. But this gives you an idea how basically a query works. Let me show just a few other options. Okay, but that's basically how hard a query is. So the things I could do, I could in my design view, I could say, let's sort these by city, state, or whatever. It doesn't make sense by state since I only have California. But now let me just try taking this out. Now this will show if there's any other ones. Okay, I don't have any of my data, any that are not in California. But if I did have other ones in, say, Florida or somewhere else, that would show up as well. Okay, so now that's basically, if they're all on the same line, it's an and. And if I had them on different lines, it could be an or. Like I could have California or Arizona. Now there's not going to be a lot on the beach out there. But I could, that's how I would say or. One or another or another. There's another one called a wild card. If I just put an asterisk in there, maybe an asterisk followed by a letter, it's whatever that would start with. And another one that's pretty cool is called a parameter query. A parameter query, I simply put this little bracket here, and then whatever my question is. For example, for which state? Now when I run the query, it's going to ask me which state do I want. So let's get rid of this and this. Now when I run it, it's going to say, for which state? Maybe I'll say Massachusetts. And it found the colleges in Massachusetts. That's called a parameter query. And that's how I could run it. Let's say at Grossmont College, I want to see all the students by department. And rather than having a different query for every department, I would just have it prompt me for which department. Type in English or business or whatever you want, and it'll work at that time. Back to design view. So that's what that is. By putting it in the brackets, it prompts you to enter the data. So right now, I'm going to say I had tuition less than 10,000 and near the beach, yes. And I'm going to say, for now, I'll put back California. So I'm going to save this as California Beach College, California Value Beach Colleges. How about that? I'll run it. Great. And then I'm going to save the object as, and save it as, I'm going to call it California Value Beach Colleges. Oops, not value. Now I have that. California Valley Beach Colleges. I can close this. I can close this. And whenever I run it, that shows up. So let's just show one last thing. So when I go back to my table, let's say I'll add one brand new one. And let's have another beach college. Let's say CSU Monterey Bay. I think there's only one R in that. And that's in Monterey, California, 7,500. And that is near the beach. It's a cold beach, but it's still near the beach. And they do have on-campus housing. I don't know. It's a small one, 10,000. And let's use the same date. Now I've added data. You can add lots of data to your table, delete records, etc. And now I'll close that. And when I run this, Monterey Bay should be on it. Voila. So that's the basis of how to run a query, how to create a query and modify it in Design View. Okay, that's enough for now.